after this. So I'll go ahead and call to order the Public Safety Committee hearing at 6:33. First item of business perfunctory is to approve the January 17th, 2023 meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve those? Moved by Cindy Marks. All those, or I guess second? Second. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Those pass. Good. So now we'll move on to the main part of the agenda tonight. So on February 21st, myself, along with Councilperson Marks and Councilperson Keppel, introduced communication about the safe gun storage, the Be Smart program, and I believe we have Patricia Barley here, and someone else. Introduce yourselves, and would love to hear the presentation, and a whole bunch of people who have come out. So, and I just want to say, I don't want to take, I know there's a program, but just thank you all so much for your work on this issue. As a parent to young children, it is devastating to think about the fact that gun deaths are the leading cause of death amongst children in our country. So I'm excited to learn more about what we can do about that within our current legal environment here in Ohio. So I'll throw it over to you, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Good evening. We are here to talk about the #1 cause of death for American children and teens, guns. Firearms, like you just said, are the leading cause of death for children ages 1 to 17 in the U.S. On behalf of the Be Smart Lakewood team, thank you Councilpersons Baker, Keppel, and Marks, and to everyone here for allowing us this time and space to share with you what Be Smart is. Be Smart is a program developed by Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America. It was developed to bring together parents and adults concerned about kids, guns, and safety. It is a framework to help parents and adults prevent gun deaths and injuries. I've been a Lakewood resident for 20 years. I have 3 boys in Lakewood City Schools. And the reason that I became involved in volunteering for this organization is years ago when my now junior came home to tell me about the active shooter drills at school, and it kind of how traumatic it was for him, and that these children are just growing up living like this. That was the impetus for me wanting to get involved.
My name is Stacy Ross, and I've lived in Lakewood for 27 years. Gun violence prevention has been my main cause since Sandy Hook shooting in 2012. My oldest son, who is now a junior, was the same age as those first graders who were unnecessarily killed at that time. I've been involved in Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense for about 5 years, and I have 2 boys that go to Lakewood High School. Now that we've introduced ourselves, let's take a moment to watch this introductory video.
We each come from different walks of life.
I'm the retired police chief of the St. Louis Police Department.
Soy consejera bilingüe.
I do a lot of writing. I write a lot of poetry.
So I've known since I was very young that I wanted to be a pediatrician.
I'm a dad, and I love to study history. And firearms are a way for me to access that history.
Soy madre, soy esposa.
I'm a dad, I'm a husband.
I'm a mother, an advocate.
And I'm a proud military wife and mother.
As parents, we all agree
that raising happy, healthy children
es lo más importante para todos nosotros.
And right now, we're dealing with a major national public health issue.
My son was at his uncle's house playing with his 13-year-old cousin when his 13-year-old cousin found a gun that was unsecured in a drawer, not realizing that one of the bullets was still in the chamber. So when Jawan told him to put the gun away, he said, "Look, it's not loaded," and pulled the trigger. In approximately 17 minutes, my son was gone.
So many of these deaths are unintentional, and when that happens, everybody involved is devastated.
anytime a young person dies, you think to yourself that, this is something that could have been prevented.
I don't think I ever thought I would see a child with a gunshot injury. But yes, we have all seen them, unfortunately.
He was my all. When I look in the back seat now, it's empty, and that's what I'm used to seeing. I'm used to seeing him.
Nearly 1,500 American children are killed by guns every year.
a leading cause of death for children in America.
As adults, we are responsible for our children, and there are 5 simple things we can do
To keep them healthy.
Secure and store your guns locked and unloaded and separate from ammunition.
Most guns used in school shootings come from the home.
Practica comportamiento responsable.
Talk to your kids about gun safety, but remember, that's a precaution, not a guarantee.
Ask family members and other parents if there are any unsecured guns in their homes,
Es tan fácil como mandar un texto o correo electrónico.
and it could save a life.
Recognize the role of guns in suicide.
If you think your kid is at risk, make sure all your guns are stored or just get them out of the house.
Tell as many people as you can to be smart.
So to recap, secure, model, ask, recognize, and tell as many people as you can. Be smart.
Necesitamos hacer mejor.
I store my guns responsibly, and I ask my neighbors and my friends to do the same thing.
Whether or not it's your gun, it could be your child.
Es responsabilidad de todos.
We can't afford to stay silent.
So you all have the power to continue to save lives by remembering that you can be smart.
Be Smart is a program to bring together all adults concerned about kids, guns, and safety. We all want kids to grow up happy and healthy. We each have the right to make responsible decisions about how to protect our homes, families, and communities, including whether or not to have a gun in the home. If we can prevent even one child's gun death or injury, it's our responsibility to do so. We're not here to discuss laws, policies, or politics, so let's set those aside.
It's a heartbreaking fact that in the U.S., firearms are the leading cause of death for children. This is a public health crisis. More than 1,800 children under 18 are killed with guns yearly, an average of 5 children a day. When children are killed with guns, the majority of those deaths, 54%, are homicides. That's 1,000 children per year. Additionally, nearly 700 children die by firearms suicide each year, and 100 are unintentionally shot and killed. Just this month, a 7-year-old Cleveland boy was unintentionally shot and killed himself with a gun that was not safely stored. We're here today to discuss how to prevent tragedies like this.
A shocking 4.6 million children live in a U.S. household with at least one loaded, unlocked gun. According to a recent survey of Lakewood residents, 16.3% of survey takers indicated that they have a gun in the house. Of those with guns, 27% do not have the guns locked storage. While school shootings and mass shootings typically make national headlines, almost all unintentional child shooting deaths occur in the home. The Secret Service found that 3/4 of school shooters acquired their firearm from the home of a parent or a close relative. So listen, I know this is an emotional issue and we may come from different walks of life. Some of us may own guns, some of us may not. Many of us are parents, neighbors, concerned citizens. Some of you may have had a personal story with guns or have been impacted by gun violence in some way. We believe that most gun owners want to be responsible gun owners. So we are here today to talk about what all of us can do, gun owners and non-gun owners alike, can do to ensure children and teens do not have unsupervised access to guns.
But we can all act to keep in our homes and communities to keep our kids safe. So even if you don't have a gun in your home, or if you do and you know that you're already practicing secure gun storage, what can you do right now? Together we can learn to be smart. Let's start with S. Secure your guns in homes and vehicles. 13 million households with children contain at least one gun, and most children in gun-owning households know where the gun is stored. So what do I mean by securing guns? A gun should always be stored securely, which means it is inaccessible to kids, and ensure that children are never in the presence of unsecured firearms. Remember, hiding a gun is not securing a gun. We know that you may have specific questions about what secure gun storage looks like in practice. So here are some examples. There is a common myth that storage devices negate the self-defense purpose of owning a gun by adding time-consuming barriers. The reality is that many affordable options for secure gun storage provide owners with access to guns in seconds while preventing children and people at increased risk of harming themselves or others. Locking up guns reduces the risk of firearm suicide, unintentional firearm injury, and it helps to prevent firearm theft. Unsecured guns may actually increase the likelihood of crime and violence through an increased risk of gun theft. Did you know that at least 2 guns are stolen every 15 minutes? It is also essential to lock up any guns in cars. More than half of stolen guns are taken from vehicles. Putting a gun under the seat or in a glove compartment is definitely not considered safe storage. You can purchase car gun lock boxes. They're available at most retail and sporting goods stores. I'm also happy to share that after a meeting with our Be Smart team, the City of Lakewood purchased gun cable locks similar to this one we saw on the previous screen, and those are available for free at the police station.
M, model responsible behavior. Every law-abiding adult has the right to decide whether or not to have a gun in the home, but you can't rely on curious kids not to find a gun. Kids know where their parents store their guns, and more than 1/3 reported handling their parents' guns. Many do so without the knowledge of the parents. Nearly 1/4 of parents did not know that their children had handled the gun in their house. It is always the adult's responsibility to prevent unauthorized access to guns, not a curious child's responsibility to avoid guns. Talk to your kids about gun safety, but remember, that's a precaution, not a guarantee. One study found that young children who go through a week-long gun safety training are just as likely as children with no training to approach or play with a handgun when they find one. Modeling responsible behavior means that smart adults ensure that kids don't have the opportunity to access guns. That said, you can't control the environment that your child is in all the time, so you should teach them not to touch a gun if they come across one, real or pretend, and give them the tools to get out of a dangerous situation and to alert an adult. As an adult, it's your responsibility to do everything you can to prevent them from getting in a dangerous situation to begin with. We also have a handout on best practices for discussing guns with children and teens over there. As we've mentioned, approximately 4.6 million children live in a household with at least one loaded, unlocked gun.
That's why you need to ask about firearms in other homes your child visits, the A in SMART. What are some things you ask about before allowing your child to go to another's home? Maybe peanut allergies, potential allergens, pets in the home, if there's a pool on the property. For teens, you might want to know who's going to be home, what kind of TV or video games do you allow, is there access to alcohol?
Asking about guns in the homes in the home should be as natural as asking about any other safety issue. If it seems awkward at first, try making it part of your general safety conversation. You might ask via email or text if you're initially uncomfortable. Let's do a little role play. Stacy, Ronan is excited about his first play date with Cameron. Do you have any pets? Because he's allergic to cats.
Cameron is excited too. We do have a cat.
Okay, thanks for letting me know. I will give him some Zyrtec before dropping him off. Also, while we were chatting, do you have any firearms in your home?
Actually, yes. My husband is a hunter. However, he keeps his gun in the gun safe and the ammunition is locked up separately. Do you feel comfortable with that?
Great, that puts my mind at ease.
Let's talk about recognizing the roles of gun in suicide, the R. Access to a gun can mean the difference between life and death. It's important to consider that firearm suicide is uniquely lethal. Let's consider these facts. 90% of suicide attempts using a gun end in death. Half of the suicides in the U.S. are gun suicides. 70% of people who survive a suicide attempt will never attempt suicide again. As our children age, consider looking at your storage methods. If you've been using a simple cable lock, you may want to consider getting a gun safe. We all know how curious children can be, and as they get older and more resourceful, you need to act accordingly. Also, if you know your loved one is in distress, you might consider temporarily removing a gun from your home. Why would you want to do that? I cannot stress enough that most people who attempt suicide do not die unless they use a gun. 90% of suicide attempts with a firearm result in death, a much higher fatality rate than any other means of self-harm. This contributes to the fact that 41% of child suicides involve a gun. Here are some resources. I'll give you a moment to take a picture with your phone if you'd like, and I'd also like to remind everyone the National Suicide Hotline is available by texting 988.
Tell. That is the power of Be Smart. This is what we're doing here today. We started as a small group last spring in a coffee shop. We then met with the mayor and a representative from the police department. From there, we had a meeting with Lakewood City School District superintendent and school board members. This past fall, we were able to present at a school board meeting and council of PTAs. This past winter, we have been meeting monthly, and our team has grown, as you can see. So how will you commit to being Be Smart today? Sharing the Be Smart message the way we will save lives, by spreading awareness. So I'd love for you to take a few minutes and think about who you will tell to be smart today. Our call to action is spreading the word. We are available to do this presentation at block parties, book clubs, PTA meetings, and our next steps are that we are asking each of you to think of 3 organizations that you believe should hear this message and how you would be willing to help us get that message across, such as on a water bill, coffee with a cop.
Block parties, we'd love to come to your block parties. Schedule a presentation at pretty much any adult group you're involved in. We have postcards that are available to share. That QR code will take you to our Google form to schedule a presentation or get more information. You can also, if you really want to get involved, text SMART to 64433, and that will get you connected with Moms Demand Action.
Did anybody have questions, or would you like to share how you're going to be smart?
Councilperson Keppel.
Thank you. Hi, thank you so much for being here and for your volunteer work on this important issue. I do actually have a couple questions. So I wanted to check to see, one of the facts you gave under M was, and I'm not sure if I heard this right, so I wanted to check, that children who are told not to handle guns are just as likely to actually do it? Or
Well,
did I
one study
mishear?
found that young children who went through a week-long gun safety training, they were just as likely as children with no training to approach or play with a handgun when they find one. So meaning that just because they were trained, if they had access to it, you know, they're curious, they're still going to touch it, even though they've been told not to.
Right. So, in other words, when we're telling our children, if you see a gun, don't touch it, that's sort of a last line of defense and shouldn't be a first line of defense.
Correct.
Yeah. And then I had a couple other questions. You mentioned about locations where you're interested in doing this, or that you could possibly reach out to groups. I wondered if you had talked with the Lakewood Public Library. I could imagine this being connected with parents that attend story time or some of the other, family-related programs that we could reach some parents that way.
That's a good idea. Somebody from our group is writing down different ideas.
Okay.
But that's a good one. We've been having our monthly meetings at Lakewood Library, and our next one is on April 4th, so maybe before that, we could reach out to somebody.
Yeah, I'd be happy to try to help facilitate that with the children's manager there.
Oh, that would be great, thank you.
And we also have posters that are available over there, kind of 11, 17 posters that have the acronym and explain what the letters are. And I think the more people see that kind of thing, if they've heard the message, they see that kind of thing, it just normalizes the conversation.
Great, thank you. And then I know you've been talking with the administration and about different ideas, so I don't want to step on toes there, but I just wondered with the block parties, I know when folks schedule a block party, because they have to get a permit to do a block party, I'm just wondering if there would be some sort of, if the leader of the block party could, get an automated, and this is more of a question, I guess I'm asking the administration, if we could, and we don't have to decide that now, it just popped in my brain when you said that about block parties, if that could be a, that could be mentioned, that this is a
Yeah, that's a great idea.
availability.
I know when, like, we've scheduled our block parties, you get the sheet and you can schedule the fire truck, you can schedule, there's like a list of different things. It would be great to have us kind of listed there as a resource.
Not trying to put you on the spot, Mayor George.
Yeah, I'll have to, we'll work with that internally. I know Assistant Law Director Swallow had gotten back to you about putting any information on the website. We need to scrub it of the Be Smart logo, so we have to be very careful not to be promoting, even though it's a obviously great, wonderful, important cause, we have to just be careful of how we approach that. So we can look at ways with block parties, but I know Assistant Director Swallow had mentioned, we can, when the police department has events, we can talk about the free gun locks, about, safe storage of guns, and so we can look at other options there too.
That would be great, thank you.
And I would also, one thing that comes to mind as I think about this, particularly my stage in life, is grandparents, right? So grandparents have existed in this world for 20 or 30 years, but they don't have little ones around, and then they're grandparents, and they may have little ones staying over. So early childhood centers, my children go to Lakewood Child Care Center. A lot of them are nonprofits. I know they have good relationships with the Human Services Department, the family room, so that may be a good opportunity to kind of branch out that way for young families. Any other thoughts from the committee or members of council? Councilwoman Marks.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing this forward to the City of Lakewood. I think it's a very important issue. I've always felt that we so freely allow our children to do sleepovers in people's homes. And I think it's so important that people ask that question, do you own a gun and is it kept safely? The worst thing that could happen is that you would have a tragic accident on a sleepover that would ruin families' lives. So thank you for bringing this message forward. I think it's great. And as far as Councilwoman Keppel's suggestion about the library, I think it's important that you bring this to Madison Library and not just the main branch, because people at Madison, it's not as easy for them to get to the main branch to attend some of those lectures. So that would be a great service to Birdtown.
Thank you. We'll do that. I know we have plans as a group to start presenting to the PTAs in the fall. And like Stacy and I really did meet when our kids were in kindergarten. And, we want this to be up so that, it's sitting on the First Day Cafe and that it becomes normalized. And, even people who are used to this, it's an awkward conversation for some reason, yet allergies of cats and peanuts and stuff isn't. So we just want to normalize the conversation, and we love all your suggestions. Does anybody else have?
Councilman Wilk.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Good evening, everybody. I almost said good afternoon, but it's spring forward. So thank you, Patricia and Stacy, for being here, and everybody from SMART, Mayor George and Chief Kowchuk. Thanks for teaming up with the committee to host this. Very important work. It's so difficult to get any legal changes or, consumer safety accountability for manufacturers of products in this area. But I, love and certainly support this effort. I'm a dad of small kids, and certainly when I in fact, the number one thing I say to my boys is, don't make me repeat myself. And of course, I have to repeat myself constantly. So Why even say that, right? That's a rookie dad kind of thing. So, so I can understand certainly the statistic in here that even if kids are told and trained, it's going to take consistent reinforcement. And really, just as I push the boiling pot to the back burner, I don't take the risk of leaving it in the front burner. That's on me, or the sharp knife, or whatever it may be at the edge of the counter. You know, we've got to take the initiative as adults to make it safe. So I ran some back of the napkin arithmetic from your survey. If those numbers bear out, using the round number of 27,000 households in Lakewood, we're talking about more than 1,000, maybe 1,200 unsecured firearms in Lakewood out of something like 7,500 total. So that's a lot. So what you're working on matters and is pertinent. And you know, what does come to my mind is, if, you know, as I get to the play dates at somebody else's home, don't know what's going on there. So I have some ideas. Maybe we could talk afterwards, but, you know, sports teams, there's a lot of parents that come together, maybe an opportunity, you know, to picnic afterwards or something, to get a group of parents together to have a briefing, a presentation.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
And, you know, basketball just ended, soccer's about to begin, and baseball, so there we go. Happy to help.
Councilman Schechter.
Thank you. I just really want to thank you all for taking the time out of your busy lives towards this effort and this cause, especially since we live in a state where we're essentially handcuffed at the local level to do anything about it. And when legal subdivisions are handcuffed by the state, at least it falls to people like you and organizations like you that care to help prevent this horrific accidents and crimes and mishaps where they happen. And that education is such an important piece of it, and thank you for doing all that you do.
Thanks.
Thank you. And I understand you may have a call to action or something?
Our call to action really is to schedule those meetings. So those were some really, really great ideas. I'm going to make sure all y'all up there have our postcards, and hopefully you guys will grab one. But if you know of an organization that might be interested in having a presentation or a table, we can do the 30-minute version, we can do the 10-minute version. We're really just looking for help to get those scheduled. So that's our main call to action.
And my email is on the QR code in addition to what you can fill out on the Google form. So we can maybe leave those.
Yeah, so if you have like a connection at the library, if you make the introduction with Patricia, that's exactly our call to action here.
Thank you so much. What? Oh, absolutely. Marianne, come on up. Give the microphone. Say your name. Yeah. It's recorded.
So I'm Marianne Crampton, and these human beings are so wonderful. And you all know that I've been involved in Moms for Men in Action in a significant way for a while. I just wanted to point out to anyone that is not aware of this, is that what we're doing here is unique in the state. This is the only community that's taking a comprehensive approach of getting the city, the mayor, the police, the fire, the council, and the schools, and all the parents speaking with the same message. We are taking this community-wide approach. We've been asked to be on a national call for a case study as to how we're taking this. And you know, Lakewood is unique in so many ways. And this is one more. We can, demonstrate to other communities that this is how it's done. We can normalize the conversation. And I did speak briefly with the mayor and with Councilman Baker, Chair Baker, about perhaps before the kids are let out for school, that we have a really significant, some kind of public event, news release, all-out effort that says, this summer, this is what Lakewood is. We ask about guns, we store them, appropriately. So I look forward to talking to you about that. Okay, thanks.
Thank you so much, and once again, thank you to Stacy and Patricia and Mary Ann for all of your work, and everyone here. You know, this is, I think Councilman Schechtner said it well in the sense that as a political subdivision, we don't have a ton of ability to do much about this issue in the state of Ohio, but as individual people and parents and, you know, people that care about young people at the very least, that we can do something about this. And I think the suggestion that Mary Ann had about having some sort of big push in the summer is excellent. You know, I know, you know, kids are going to be at sleepovers, at camps, at friends' houses. And if you look at the trends, you know, gun deaths and gun issues usually tick up in the summertime. So I certainly would do anything I can to help with that. So please let me know how I could. Thank you all so much. Any other comments from, Councilperson Keppel?
Thank you. Sorry, Marian's comment just made me think. I know the survey showing the number of guns that, of the respondents that were not secured. I wonder if there were plans to do a survey post all of these efforts. So, you know, in light of that national study, sorry, Marian, I'm looking at you, to see if, you know, we could show the effects of having the citywide approach. And Mr. Chair, just a follow-up comment to that, if you don't mind, is this, it's a good thing we just made the Community Health Needs Standing Committee so that we can follow up on information like this. So I'd look forward to trying to work on that.
Thank you, and once again, thank you to everyone here. If literally one child doesn't become injured with a gun, then this is all worth it. So really appreciate it. And without objection, I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you.